So, so I'm gonna start all over again. So I wanted to do a segment on here called Story Time. And, I was talking about learning myself and having to teach myself a lot of the things and asking others questions about myself. And it only led me to have more questions about other people. And, sometimes I can get caught up in knowledge. I'm a multitasker and, my center is my heart, right? After finding out that the heart is the first thing that's developed during childbirth, it solidified my thought process and the way that I was thinking and learning myself. You know, it solidified me knowing that my heart is my center and not my stomach or my mind or my brain or anything of the sort. And with me doing music, by the way, if you're new to my channel, I am Tro Sinatra, Evening Star, Lieutenant Seven, Son of God, Miracle Baby, the man from Jupiter. And I'm not, you know, I'm speaking in my inside voice now. Usually I'm a little bit louder, but it's the evening time, it's midnight. So, and this is a quick story. And after I'm done telling the story, we got an uninvited guest. So I got to go get rid of this pest. Give me 1 second. Quick with it. Anyway, so I make music, I create content, I use my heart to see, feel, and listen. And it is also where I get it's like a hard drive, right? Usually the brain would be considered the hard drive, but I get a lot of my messages through my heart because you know, vibrations and all that stuff can it can be felt through the heart space. It can be felt through the whole body, but through the heart space is where it is felt and can be resonated through the entire body. And I'm not going to get too deep into that. I'm going to jump into the story. So, there once was this little bird, and this little bird lived in a pond. It's a beautiful pond. It's not a big pond, but it's not a small pond. It's got a lot of trees. It's got a lot of plants. It's got a lot of flowers. It's got a lot of things that you would see in the garden. It's got a lot of springs, and sometimes the birds will use the spring as their personal showers. And this bird living in this pond, every single day, the bird would see the other birds, bigger than them, bigger than anything this bird has ever seen. And each day, this little bird would see all the other birds fly away, would see their webbed feet running on the waters, would see the springs and the sprinkles flying off of their wings. And sometimes they would even leave feathers behind as they fly away into the sky, so far that the little bird could no longer see with its little eyes. Each day that the bigger birds fly away, this little bird would wonder, why isn't it able to fly? Why am I not able to fly? So the little bird flaps his wings and doesn't get any flight, doesn't get any airtime, and always crashes down into the water. And the little bird one day decides to go and ask his mother, Mom, why can't I fly like all the other birds? And the mother would say, well, it's because it's not your time yet. And the little bird would ask, well, Mommy, when is my time going to come? I want to fly far away into the sky. I can't even see the birds when they fly away. They leave their feathers, and it's so big. I can't wait till that day where I too can take off and fly away. And the mother smiled and told the little bird, in due time, you're going to fly away, and one day you might not even want to come back. And the little bird said, I'll always want to come back, Mommy. I'll never want to leave. I want to fly away and come back and tell you about everything that I see. The little bird was so filled with hope, thinking that the next day would be the day to start flying and soar and grow. But the next day came, and the day after that, and then another day, and the days turned to weeks, and the weeks turned to months, and the months turned to seasons. And as the seasons change, the bird, the little bird, tried and tried and tried every single day to fly, one day after the next, becoming more and more anxious, impatient, couldn't wait, not knowing that the whole time the bird was building character, strength, toughness, and wisdom, which would be needed for the day that that little bird finally gets the chance to fly away. And so frustrated, heartbroken, and sad, the little bird goes and talks to his mom and then asks, when is it going to be my time? I tried and tried every single day, and I still cannot fly. And the mother said, oh dear, you're so impatient and your heart is filled with joy. You think it's sadness, but oh boy. And the mother walks with the little bird, and they walk to the pond. And the mother opens up her wing and tells the little bird to look down into the water and open your wing as I open mine. And so the little bird opens his wing, thinking his wings were going to open as big as his mom's wings, but it didn't. And then she told him, do you see? Look at your wings and look at my wings. When you're ready to fly, your wings will be as large as mine. And so the bird asks, how long is it going to take for me to be that big and for me to be able to fly and take off into the skies? And the mother says, only time will tell. Every bird is different. You might grow within the next 2 seasons or the next season, and you'll be taken off before you even know it. And before the little bird knew, that season changed, and his little wings began, and his little wings grew. And one day, when the sun rose, the little bird began to scream, shouting, "Mommy, mommy, come quick." So mom came thinking it was something was wrong. So she rushed and she ran and she stumbled to the pond and she saw her little baby swoop down from above and flying like a beautiful swan. And I'm going to pause the story right there because this relates to a lot of people that's spiritual and a lot of people that are impatient on the things we want to do in life. We want to fly, we want to soar, and we want to go around the world. But while we're not able to go around the world and fly, the things that we do before that time, it builds the strongest character because you might want to own your own company and you might want to be a great leader, but you can never lead into leading. You must first follow, and then you will have to decide and realize who you can and cannot follow, who is and are not good leaders, and those are the compare and contrast that we do to decide who we're going to end up being like. I've seen many potential outcomes from our future, and a lot of people stick to the one fear of being broke or being, without. My fear was bigger than that. It was being the one that's going to, potentially become the leader of my family, the leader of my bloodline, the leader of the children and the grandchildren and the nieces and the nephews that's going to come from my family. Because I saw my father do it. I heard stories about my grandfather and my aunts and my uncles. My uncle in Colorado still doing it, you know? So I see it as I have big feet to fill. I mean, big shoes to fill. Even though they're not presidents and all that stuff, but I see them as kings and gods. Because without them, I wouldn't be who I am today. From that little pond in Trinidad, east of the dry river, across the street from Lavantil, Port Spain, that was my little pond. And I always saw the bigger people, the bigger kids, the bigger children. I don't like to say kids, because kids is animals and children is who we are. But I would see all of them and I would want to do what they do and I would want to have what they have. My father was teaching me. I was being taught the proper etiquette of value. Because if you got everything that you asked for, if I got the PlayStations, the Xbox, if I got the Jordans and the t-shirts and the belts, and I wouldn't have any of those things, and I might have had all those things, but I wouldn't have the value of any of those things. I wouldn't know the value of them because I would have them at my disposal. So with having tools that can get you a wardrobe instead of going to the Renaissance and buying a wardrobe, the tools that you can use to build a bed instead of going to Tiffany's and buying a whole set. I didn't appreciate the tools that I had. Remember, I said I might have graduated 128th in my class, but in spiritual school, I graduated top two, and I ain't number two. So the tools that I had, they said Jesus was a carpenter, right? Yeezy, he laid beats. Overflow the Holy Ghost. Get the hell up out your seats. But my father is a carpenter by trade, and I studied under my father every step of the way, whenever I could, whatever he was doing. And, we did a fantastic job on remodeling the house that our family was living in. But that's neither here nor there. Building the character and appreciating what I had and what I still have and who I am, who I'm becoming, that is the part of the story that I want to, you know, focus on, because we might want to do everything that we dream about doing. But while we're not able to do what we dream of doing, the things that we're able to do with those thoughts and those imaginations, it'll help us for when we do get there, because we can see people that's already in positions that we potentially will be in. I say potentially because you can either be in a higher or lower potential or lower position depending on who you are, what industry you work in, or what your purpose is in the world. And on the, in the world that's on the earth. So everything that I kind of lost my train of thought for a second. The things that we have that we tend to ignore are those very tools that we need to save the child that's inside of our center. You might want to be a great artist, and you might think you don't have the tools that great artists have, but great artists didn't have the tools you see them with. Great artists started exactly where you started. And I'm kind of speaking to myself when I'm saying this. Great artists started exactly where you started, staying in motels, staying in hotels, staying in people's couches, staying with a friend, staying with a companion, staying here, staying in shelters, staying on the streets, staying in the worst conditions possible, and still making it to being great artists, to then having the tools. That's why you see a lot of rich people, you don't think that they're rich because they don't look rich, because they have that mentality that they had in that little pond. They took value of the things that they had while they were building the dream that they always envisioned. So when they got big and they expanded and their empire got so grand that now they can expand it to their children and their children's children, the only thing that is important to them are those tools that they use to build that first chair. The hammer and the chisel is is the carpenter's best friend. You can have a drill, you can have all the fancy electrical tools in the world, but the hammer and a chisel and some wood is a carpenter's gold mine because it takes, you know, when you do things with your hands, a carpenter does with his hands what a woman does with her womb. That's where the Midas touch comes from. You put your touch on something, you put your specific signature on something, the tools that you've been using in that little pond, it can help make great inventions. It can help make great inventions. In order for us to make great inventions, we have to understand that great things come from the things we think we don't have. Because I could see somebody with 100 cars and they only drive one car and wonder why they don't drive the other 99 cars and not understand that that one car that they continue to daily was the car that they used to get those other 99 cars. So them 99 cars might have more value on paper, but in a spiritual sense, that car that the person used to get the 99 cars is a lot more valuable than the 99 cars because without that hammer and that chisel, without that one car, without that dream, without that faith of a mustard seed, without that small pond and growing your wings to become like the swan and flying and soaring through the skies, there wouldn't be an empire. There wouldn't be something that you can hand down to your children. There wouldn't be a character that people could then imitate and try to, you know, copy the blueprint and even remix the person that you are. But in order to get to the great that you see, you have to understand that the great started exactly in the position of you and me, with nothing but the center, feeling that heart, feeling that heartbeat, and then you know, imitating it on a solid surface and then finding a specific surface that sounds nice enough and then that turned into the drum, and then from the drum hums and hymns started to come into play. So the heartbeat is the first thing that forms in the womb. So that's my center. I see with my heart, not my eyes. I hear with my heart, not my ears. I feel with my heart, not my hands. And when you listen to what your heart have to say, you will hear what you have to say. I decided to follow my heart, and that's why I'm following my dreams. And I'm gonna make it hard for them to stop me because I started with nothing. So I'll stop for nothing. Look at the sparrows of the air, how they neither gather nor sow nor reap into barns, but yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? You see that right there? Gregory, I was thinking about that when I stepped on a roach earlier. Is my life worth more than that roach that I just stepped on? I think about stuff like that, right? I don't do anything without thinking about it first, right? Because every single life matters. Even a gnat, it's part of the all, right? And as I stepped on that roach, I, I was thinking to myself, you ain't gonna be fucking around me. Cause I seen two of them earlier. It's the raining season and we in Texas, so them roaches be outside. They out there, right? And I seen one of them chasing after the other one, and I was gonna step on both of them at the same time, but I didn't want to risk missing. And then they start flying, and now I gotta go. I gotta go crazy. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna leave y'all alone. Y'all ain't even where I'm staying. Y'all ain't even where I'm at. So left them. But then I came back out, went out for a little, went back out, and I seen one, and I was like, nah, bow. I took two little steps, made sure it ain't get nowhere to run, and it wasn't aware that I was about to step on, and I stepped on it. But then I started to think, you know, if it was pregnant, right? It might have been a female roach, and I started to think if that one roach's life is worth more than my life, and I started to think, and I like, hell yeah, I'm worth more than a roach. Maybe not the entire species of roaches, because then I started to think if the roaches weren't here, what would replace them? And it got me into thinking again about, if something wasn't there, something else have to come and replace it. So whatever the roaches ate, they're gonna get bigger, and whatever ate the roaches is gonna need something else to eat. So something else have to replace that roach in the food chain. And it's one of the things that I learned on, one of my lessons in spirit science. Life is it was specifically on Poseidon and his 12 children. And they was talking about in life and the vortexes, how the Martians came in traffic, right? When you're in traffic and a car gets out of the lane, that space between your car and that next car, it gets filled by another car eventually. And that's exactly what happened on Earth. That's a story for another time. I'm still getting, you know, it's crazy how you said that, Gregory. And I was thinking before I even came on here about the story about the bird, I was thinking about how my life equates to that of a roach. If my life is worth more than that roach. And I came up to the conclusion, yes, don't feel bad because you value all life. Don't think that you can't put your life above another to a certain extent. You can't think about, you know, survival and all this other stuff and then throw out the fact that you might be more valuable than another life. I'm not speaking about humans per se. I'm just speaking in general, right? Your life might be worth might be more valuable than one animal, but that whole species of animal trumps your life. Like I wouldn't go eradicate freaking squirrels because I don't like squirrels, right? That would make me evil. But taking the life of one squirrel, if it, if it's like rabbit or if it's trying to bite me or whatever, I shouldn't have to feel guilty of that because in survival, those are the rules, especially when you're in this physical realm. There's different set of rules. That's why when people start speaking for the spiritual realm, and, and they start saying how things work, I'll be listening to them and I'll be like, yo, that's not how that works. That's not how that work at all. But I'll never get into any type of argument with somebody that is aware of what they're doing. Just gonna let them burn themselves at the stake while I continue to speak the truth, right? You can't get into back and forths over people that's talking and people that got something to say because you'll be responding to negativity all day. And that's not what you're here for. That's not what you're here for. You're here to be like that bird in the story. Cultivate, build character, and grow. And have that contentment in your heart that one day you will be great. One day you will be extraordinary, right? Jay-Z's famous quote, "I'd rather die enormous than live dormant." I don't want to be a volcano unless I'm erupting in this motherfucker. I don't want to be the mountain unless I can speak. And when the mountains speak, life forms. That's where I got that from. I made that up myself. The mountain speaks. Tro Sinatra speaks. I was just creating ways to, as I'm putting myself out there into the world, I'm just using my creativity to create different ways to get myself out there, right? When the mountain speaks, life happens. What happened when a volcano erupts? That's a mountain, right? And what is it spitting out of the of the mountain? Lava. What happens after lava flows? Life starts forming. Trees start to grow, land start to form, animals start to go and start to poop, and then more trees start to form, then bugs start to come, then people go, "Oh, I discovered this island." So I decided to stamp that. The mountain speaks. And when I speak, I'm not just talking shit. Sometimes I do talk shit, but I label that something else. But I use specific hashtags to get specific messages to specific groups of people because you can't treat everybody the same because everybody is not one person. That's why when they talk about, you know, we are all one, that's just another form of technology because we're not all one. We're all from the one source of creation, but that one source of creation is now in today's time 30 minutes on the existence calendar. We're only a half hour in. Like mankind have not been here more than a half hour. So says modern science. I'm not talking about truth science or spirit science or ancient science. I'm talking about modern day Gaia, the dude with the fro that leads the whole movement. He stated that humanity has only been on in existence for a half hour on the existence calendar. So we ain't been here that long and we already messing shit up. So yeah, don't forget about the little bird. Eventually, the bird grew. Eventually, the bird flew. Eventually, the bird became enormous. Eventually, eventually, hold on to eventually. We're seeing eventually play out from 400 years of slavery. We're seeing eventually play out from Jim Crow era. We're seeing eventually play out from every single genocide that has been taking place in humanity's history. We're seeing eventually play out in this millennia because we only come around once every millennia. So when we're here, you better believe the red and the blue kachina is in the sky, set in order and balance within you and I. Jah, Rastafari, War King Ali, Selassie the First, Revolutionary, Lieutenant, my evening stars. I appreciate each and every one of y'all because without y'all, I just be sitting here talking to myself. But I promise you, I'll be talking either way because the message is gonna get out and the truth is gonna slay. I love y'all.